Let's talk Cavs, guys. Tonight, it's a TNT nationally televised contest against the Indiana Pacers, who just beat them on Sunday. It was the Cavs' worst shooting performance of the season against the Pacers on Sunday. So, guys, what do you anticipate? Any kind of changes or adjustments the Cavs need to make to get back tonight in Indiana?
Go ahead.
It was just I think that this was just a reset. We like the streak to go on, but at some point, you knew the Cavs would have a bad shooting night at some point. I mean, that's just what it is. I think that they get back into their groove tonight, get back in that win column. A lot of guys will step up and make their shot. I think Donovan has a game. It's been 2 games.
He's in a bit of a slump.
Yeah, what game? The Thunder game, he was off. He took the Raptor game off, and then this Pacer game, he wasn't the same. So I think that Donovan gets back to Donovan tonight. I think he gets hot from the three-point line and get his little heat check on, hit about 4 or 5 trays. I think Evan Mobley really asserts himself on the inside. I think Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam did a pretty good job in that paint last game. So I think those bigs assert themselves in this game. And I think Max Strus comes off the bench and hit 3 threes. Put it on a parlay and give me $20 when it hit.
Okay. Calling it out. Douglas, I always go back and, when I was looking at this topic or whatever, I remember going back and talking about playing basketball in high school, and I just always remember our coach telling us, defense, like you rest on offense. Offense is supposed to be where you rest. You on defense is where you really got to work. And when shots ain't falling, you got to rely on getting stops. You got to rely on defense, and the more you have, the more defense that you're able to display, the more energy that you get. And even when you're not making shots, you tend to be a little bit of, you don't have that same snap, that same focus, that same energy when you're not hitting shots. But when that's happening, you gotta actually have to be ratchet the defensive pressure up, and you gotta say, okay, if we're not hitting shots, we're gonna hang our hat on the defensive end of the table. So I think I want to see that, and Kenny has talked about it a little bit. I want to see that activity on defense a little more. I don't want to see, I think the Pacers did a really good job of getting in the paint. They got to their spots. There's some loose balls that they got, and those 50-50 balls are pretty much those are the things that kill you, especially when you're not knocking the outside shots down. And then it seems that when they get those 50-50 balls, now they get second chance opportunities, and then now those shots are going in. And it's demoralizing, it's deflating, it kills you. So I want to see the defensive pressure. And I want to also see this a little bit. And I know that this isn't necessarily hero ball, but I want to see them, if they have a matchup that they can get to exploit, I want to see them keep going back to it. If it's Mobley and they can't guard him, boom. I thought Darius Garland had it going a little more in that game, other than Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. So I wanted to see Darius had the ball a little bit more and kind of maneuver and kind of facilitate and do those things. So it's just it's a learning lesson, and I actually like the loss. I like the loss because it's a great opportunity to reset, bring everybody in, and give them a nice little, you ain't that good yet.
Yeah, right.
Right?
You haven't proven anything yet. And to your point, you talk about defense. Kenny Atkinson, we played the clip yesterday, I guess. Yeah, it had to be yesterday, where he talked about how, in particular, their third quarter defense, and Mike put up the stats a little bit ago, Steve, about how that's been really their one issue all season. Their third quarter defense has been bad. Look at those numbers. I mean, they're top 9 in the first, second, and fourth quarter. That's great. The third quarter, all season, their defense has been terrible. And Kenny Atkinson, we played the clip yesterday, and he's like, I know this is a problem. He admitted, hey, it's something we've talked about, we got to deal with. But I don't really have the answer as to what's going on. So I think, as you said, coming off that loss and maybe the worst game they played all year against Indiana, it is probably an opportunity for him to say, hey, guys, we're playing great, love the team, love you all. We got to pick it up in the third quarter here. Yeah. Because even in games when we're playing great offensively, you mentioned this yesterday, G, if we're playing like crap defensively in the third quarter, even if we're scoring, we're letting teams back into it.
Yep.
So we're wasting, even though we've been good with the minutes, we could be getting even more rest for our stars in the fourth quarter if we played better defense in the third quarter and then the game's over.
Didn't they have a lead? What was the lead at halftime?
They were up 13.
They were up 13 against Indiana, correct?
And then they just, they played terrible defense in this game, but also they were terrible offensively the entire second half.
Couldn't buy a shot.
Really, outside of the second quarter, they couldn't make a basket. They were fine in the second quarter, but the rest of the game,
uncharacteristically bad shooting.
Yeah, first game under 100 points all season for the Cavs. Only the second game under 105. It was bizarre to see. It was a little deflating. I feel like a little deflated by the team in the moment, which is crazy. Let me make it clear. I'm not saying there's any systemic issue. But when they're playing at such a high level for so many games, it is, even one game, it's deflating to see them play that poorly. And now you got to get up. I like that it's a TNT game. I like that we'll hear, Barkley and these guys crapping on all the teams because that's what they do.
It shows them is that the level is going to be here. And I like it because when you're a championship team, that bar is always here.
Yeah.
Like that bar is right in front of you. And you just lost this game. Now, the true test of a championship caliber team for me is how you bounce back in the very next game, and do you not have these sustained. See, mediocre teams, they'll lose 3 in a row. They'll lose 3 out of 5. Good teams will say, okay, we lost that game. Let's go on another 8-game winning streak.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you want the immediate results to the Cavs' 4 losses this season that we have the result? We'll obviously find out tonight's 5th.
Right. They're 3-1.
So they, after losing to Boston for their first loss of the season, they came back and beat New Orleans at home by 28 points. It was an absolute demolition. Ty Jerome went crazy that game. Then they lost to Atlanta.
And they lost to Atlanta
And they
again.
followed that up by losing to Atlanta again.
Yeah.
And then they followed up the second Atlanta loss by beating Boston at home in that really highly contested game where Donovan went off in the fourth quarter. And then after they lost to Miami on Sunday, December 8th,
they hadn't lost again.
They followed up by beating Washington. It wasn't a great game. They won 115-105. They didn't shoot great in that contest, but it was a pretty convincing win. So for the most part, they have responded well.
I like this week because, first of all, both games are on national TV, which I like. Plus, first you're playing Indiana, a team that just beat you, and a team that's pretty good. They're not great, but they're pretty good. So the Cavs should be motivated. And then you're playing Oklahoma City again. And Oklahoma City was like, well, we lost at their place. We got to win at our place.
That place going to be crazy.
Yeah, so.
And OKC's been on a roll since that. I mean, I know it's a small sample size, but they destroyed the Knicks in New York after losing to the Cavs.
Well, think about it. Is that the only game they played since then?
No, they won again. Let me confirm, but I believe they won again last night.
You can't be on a roll if it's one game.
They beat the Wizards by 40, and they beat the Knicks by 25.
All right.
Okay.
So 3 of their so Oklahoma City beat the Celtics, beat the Knicks, lost to the Cavs, beat the Knicks, and then beat the terrible team.
Terrible team.
So in the 3 other games they played against the best teams in the East, they've won the other 3. So we know how good Oklahoma City is. We know that Indiana's pretty good, and they really handled the Cavs. So these are 2 games. Toss in the national TV angle of it that I'm excited to watch, and I got to get my flate back. That's not really a word, but I'm creating it like Mike likes to create words.
Yeah, no, it works.
We're deflated. I want to get flated. I guess I should say inflated.
That is.
But that does sound sexual. Getting flated.
That sounds
you need you some blue cheese.
But real quick, after the Oklahoma City game on Thursday, at Minnesota, who's tough, back home again on Martin Luther King Day to take on Phoenix at home, and then they play Houston twice in the next 5 days. In Houston, if anyone hasn't been paying attention, Houston's a very good team in the most updated NBA.com power rankings.
Yeah.
In the most updated NBA.com power rankings that came out this morning, Cavs 1, OKC 2, Houston 4. So these are 3 games against top 5 teams.
That game last night against Memphis for them, that was a good game. That boy Jalen Green finished that game. Nice job. Morant smoked 2 free throws at the end. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was a good game.
Aren't they? Somebody said they're like the. I haven't really watched them play, but they play with a little bit of an edge, huh?
Yeah, they've got more fights and they have more technicals.
A little chippy.
Is Anthony Edwards still playing Charmin basketball?
He's not having as great a season right now. But for tonight's game, one thing I want to keep an eye on specifically in relation to the Pacers. In the second half, when Haliburton went out and he's not anticipated to play tonight, they started pressing. And I don't think that is – and the press did a wonderful job throwing the Cavs off their rhythm.
Yeah.
You don't really press in the NBA because of the caliber of ball handlers that
Right. Yeah, right.
Donovan and Derek. It doesn't. It's more just to kind of throw guys off, and the Cavs didn't seem to run any type of press break just to negate whatever it was doing. I would anticipate if Indiana tries to press again, the Cavs will be much more equipped to handle it. Chris Fedor did just tweet that Ty Jerome was not a shoot-around this morning. He's still dealing with the flu, so if he's out, that's a ball handler that you take out of the equation for the Cavs.
But it is weird that they didn't adjust to that. It was like the first time all year it felt like Kenny Atkinson didn't.
Yeah. So I'm
in-game adjust well.
expecting that adjustment, even though it didn't happen in the second half. It happens tonight. I don't think the press.
And it is funny that the Pacers. I know they did it with that because Haliburton was out, but he's their best player,
offensive player.
Well, yeah, but like, and you know, it's funny that the Pacers were able to come back without their best offensive player.
Their best offensive player? Certainly not their best defensive player.
I'm more of a Pascal Siakam type of guy. He's consistent.
They held the Cavs to 40 points in the second half, though. So offensive, it was more their defense that did the Cavs.
Let me ask you this, McNuggets, because maybe the numbers don't back it up, but as I was watching some of the pregame stuff with the Oklahoma City Thunder, they talked about Kenny at practice, and he talked about them getting the ball and moving it up the court, and being very conscious of always getting that outlet pass and moving it and advancing it and getting into positions to get points. I just felt like in that game they played a little slower. Maybe I don't know if the numbers back it up, but they just didn't seem to have very many fast break points. But again, if you're not scoring the basketball, you're not scoring.
Yeah.
You're not going to have any of those type plays. But I felt they played a little slower against Indiana.
Yeah, well, the press definitely got them out of their rhythm. And part of the reason the Cavs' pace is slightly up this year, their offensive efficiency is up. When you get the ball across half court quickly, you have time to run an offensive set. If it's not there, reset and run it again or run something different.
Yeah.
If you take 6-7 seconds to get
Right,
it up,
you don't get that second
you
try.
run it through, and if it's not there, then you have to go ISO basketball with 5 seconds left. So that's more of what the press was trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, G. I can try and find if their pace was particularly slow. I think it was more when you miss a ton of shots.
Yeah.
You try to play more intentional to get good shots. And they didn't rebound great against Indiana on Sunday. And when you don't rebound, it's harder to get out in transition.
Yeah, listen, it was a crap game.
It was a bad game. Yeah, just a bad game.
But there was one little development that I was fascinated to see. They had this little wrinkle, and I don't know if you caught it, but they had Evan Mobley getting the ball, bringing it down, initiating offense.
They want him to do that.
Getting back
Kenny
screens.
is encouraging Evan to do that, for the record.
And he came down. They gave him a little, and he threw a nice little bounce pass to the key. I don't know who cut. It was Strus or somebody who cut back door. And I said, "This is and this is during why they're pressing. So you got Evan Mobley initiating offense at the top of the key, running point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice wrinkle. That's the one that we've been wanting because last year, after last year's season, everybody was like, he needs to be more like a Bam Adebayo where he brings the ball up and facilitates. I think that, to me, is what makes the Cavs different is that both bigs have the ability not to bring the ball up, but has playmaking ability to have court vision and be able to throw dimes and things like that. That's why the two bigs is working because those guys can see the court at a high level.
And especially with getting it to each other. They're really good at getting the ball. By the way, Mike, Aaron asked me this question the other day, and I actually didn't know the answer to this, and I wonder if you do. I've never seen this happen. If you are beyond the three-point line.
Yes, it counts.
And you dunk, it's a 3.
It's a 3.
If you dunk?
Yeah, it's a 3.
Or if you take
That's not what I was going to ask, but how could you dunk from beyond
if you take off from the 3-point line?
Nobody could do that.
If you take off from the 3-point line and do a layup and you release the ball,
It's a 3.
It's a 3.
But how? Nobody could do that. How could you do that? Nobody could jump that far.
Giannis could.
No chance.
Not dunk, but he could get
I might
pretty
say
close
he
to a
could
layup.
very close.
No, but that's not what I was going to ask. But that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. If you're behind the 3-point line and you bounce the ball and it goes into the basket, is that a 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
No, but I'm pretty sure.
I said that's what I said to Aaron. I said I think so, and then I was like,
Yes,
I'm not 100%
So
sure. I've never seen that before.
Here's the closest example I could think of. I forget the player, and I'm sure we could find it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Do you remember the ball was going out of bounds, and this is, I think, a college game, but it blew up on social media because it's a crazy play. Ball was going out of bounds. A guy went to try and save it right in front of the bench.
Yeah.
Threw it behind his head, hit a defender in the head, bounced up and went in.
Okay, but that's not the floor.
But I'm saying it hit something, but he threw it from beyond the 3-point line.
Right, and it was a 3.
And it was a 3.
But I wonder if the floor changes that as opposed to a player. I don't know. I don't think it's ever happened. If it has, I don't remember. It was just such a random thing, and I'm like, that's a fascinating question. I'm not sure.
If someone took let's talk it out. Someone takes a half-court heave. It's short, or a full-court heave at the end of and it's short, but bounces and goes in. Yeah, it's a 3. That would count as 3. Yeah, it would count as 3.
But how do you know it's never happened?
Because I know basketball.
Yeah, but
I think you're right. I don't know for 100% certain.
That's what I don't mean to press you on it because I
ask
think it's
him the question
also.
and then get mad at him.
I'm not getting mad.
His
I'm just
educated guess.
But,
No,
well, it's just an educated guess.
This is civil
yes.
discussion.
It probably is a 3.
Do you want me to send a text? You want to try to figure this out right now?
No, it's not necessary. Well, you're going to text me your NBA guys?
No, I was going to text the Cavs PR staff and ask them.
Yeah, text them. I don't know. They're probably
ask
watching. They watch.
They do.
They do.
So-
Also, shout out to the Cavs. Later this week, we're going to have a little set redecoration, and it's going to be thanks to the Cavs. So
Yeah, they're sending us some stuff,
send
which
them
we're
stuff
excited
to
about.
get hang up here.
Yeah.
Let's get some predictions for the game, then we'll move on. We're going to talk some more Cavs at the end of the show, but
I'm guessing
you
Steve
anticipate-
Becker has looked it up.
According to AI,
Yeah.
yes, if a bounce pass goes directly into the basket without hitting anything else, it counts as a made basket. The fact that it bounced on the floor before going in does not negate the score.
But
As long as the ball enters the basket.
no, but Steve says.
If the ball bounces inside the arc, it'd be a 2-point field goal.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
So it's a 2. It's not a 3.
But the ball is where the ball bounces. Obviously, you
Right.
have to shoot.
Well, but I was saying if it. I mean, my assumption was that it bounces inside. Because most 3-point shots are right at the 3-point line, so most likely it would bounce inside the 3-point line.
It had to be outside the 3-point
All right,
line.
so you thought you.
I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I guess I'm wrong.
So if it bounces, if you throw a bounce, the only way it can happen, you give a bounce pass and you just throw it really hard and it goes in.
I'm going to text the Cavs to get some clarity.
Yeah, let's get
I'm gonna
clarification
see
because
if
I
their
don't,
PR staff, yeah.
who knows? Because you can find stuff all the time online that's wrong. Remember there was that thing in the Bengals-Browns game where somebody was saying Joe Burrow was down on that play.
And he wasn't actually down.
When he wasn't down, so
I don't know. It does.
the internet gets it wrong all the time.
That is kind of because it says the shooter must be at least 1 foot behind the 3-point line when releasing the ball. Excessive for three-pointer is when the shot must be taken from outside the 3-point line. So technically, if you're outside the 3-point line and you do bounce it,
Yeah.
that kind of sounds like if you bounce it and your feet will be behind the line, that counts as a
I don't
three.
know. See, we don't have complete
I'm
clarification.
going to try getting some
All right.
clarity
I
on
think
this.
we've talked about it enough. but
Real
go ahead.
quick, prediction. Cavs win. You feel good about a Cavs
I
win
feel
tonight?
good about them bouncing back, yes.
I think it'll be close.
It's
but
a close-
I think
it's
the
a
Cavs
Close
will-
game, yeah.
It'll be a close game.
119, 112 Cavs.
I will just mention before we move on that after the loss, all the Cavs that we talked to in the locker room, Darius Donovan in particular, said, we are excited about the fact we get to play them again on Tuesday.
Sure,
There's no
I
game
bet.
in between. We get our chance at immediate revenge. So